Today we will learn about the typical ribs. Before knowing about the typical ribs, let me introduce you to the ribs in general. You see, these are the ribs which form the largest portion of the skeleton of the thoracic cage. Ribs are elongated, curved, flat bones. They are arranged in 12 pairs bilaterally. The number of ribs may be increased if there be presence of cervical rib or lumbar rib. The number may be decreased in case where 12th rib is absent. Ribs are classified by two ways. According to one way, ribs are classified into true ribs and false ribs. True ribs are also called vertebro-sternal ribs. That means true ribs are articulated posteriorly to the thoracic vertebra and anteriorly to the sternum. First to seventh ribs belong to this group, true ribs or vertebro-sternal ribs. Rest, that means 8th to 12th rib belong to the group false rib. False ribs are again classified into two groups. They are vertebrochondral and vertebral or floating ribs. Vertebrochondral ribs are those ribs which are attached posteriorly to the thoracic vertebra and anteriorly to the costal cartilage. They are actually indirectly attached to the sternum through the costal cartilages. 8, 9 and 10th rib belong to this group, that is vertebrochondral. And the rest two, 11th and 12th ribs, where you see posteriorly they are attached to the thoracic vertebra but anterior ends are free. That's why 11th and 12th ribs are called vertebral or floating ribs. So 8, 9 and 10, they are the vertebrochondral, and 11 and 12 are the vertebral. These two groups together belong to the false rib. There is another way of classifying ribs. According to that way, ribs are classified into typical and atypical ribs. Typical ribs are those ribs which have some common features. Individual identification is not possible. 3rd to 9th ribs belong to this group, typical groups. So typical ribs are the 3rd to 9th ribs. Atypical ribs actually they have separate distinguishing features. We are to identify them with the separate features present in each of them. First rib, second rib, 10th, 11th and 12th rib belong to the atypical ribs. With this idea in the background, Today we will learn about the typical ribs. So, typical ribs are those ribs which have got some common features. We are not required to identify them individually. I have already told 3rd to 9th ribs belong to the typical ribs. I am not to identify that it is 3rd rib, that it is 4th rib. I will say that it is a typical rib. You see, this one is a typical rib. First, let us know the typical ribs has got two ends. You see, anteriorly this end is the sternal end and posteriorly this end is the vertebral end. So this end is towards the sternum, that's why it is called sternal end, and this end is towards the vertebra, that's why it is called the vertebral end. You see a concave depression in the sternal end of the rib, which is for articulation with its own costal cartilage. Sternal end in anatomical position lies slightly in a lower down position than the posterior or the vertebral end, and you are to hold this in anatomical position in this pen holding fashion. So this one is the vertebral end. You see, vertebral end consists of head, neck and a tubercle. So from mediolaterally, vertebral end consists of head, thereafter neck, this portion is called neck, and the tubercle. If you are asked what are the parts of rib, you have to say it has got two ends. One is the vertebral end, the other is the sternal end, or the posterior end or the anterior end, and the intervening sac or body. This one is the intervening sac or body. So it has got three parts, two ends and a sac. Now, the vertebral end has got head. You see, in the head there are two facets, one at the upper end and the other at the lower end. They are separated from each other by a ridge or a crest. This ridge is called crest of the head. You see, this one is the crest which separates the upper facet from the lower one. You see, the facet present in the lower end, it articulates with the numerically corresponding vertebra. That means in case of 4th rib, it is the 4th thoracic vertebra. And the upper facet, it articulates with the adjacent upper vertebra. So if it is 4th rib, then the upper facet articulates with the 3rd vertebra. This ridge or the crest of the head, here it is connected with the intervertebral disc by a ligament. The name of the ligament is interarterial ligament. So the joint here formed is the costovertebral joint between the head of the rib and the body of the vertebra. The name of the joint is costovertebral joint. You see, along the margin, this costovertebral joint has got capsular ligament attached. So capsular ligament is attached along the margin. At the anterior margin, the ligament attached is called the radiate ligament. Next, come to the neck. This one is the neck. You see, neck is posterolateral extension from the head, which ends in a elevation. The elevation is the tubercle. So neck has got superior border, inferior border, anterior surface and posterior surface. So superior border of the neck, here superior costotransverse ligament is attached. Inferior border of the neck provides attachment for posterior intercostal membrane of the lower space. This one is the anterior surface. Anterior surface is divided into a smaller upper part and a larger lower part by a faint transverse ridge. So a faint transverse ridge divides the inner surface into a upper part and a lower part. This ridge provides attachment for the posterior intercostal membrane of the upper space. Above the ridge, this area contains fibrofatty tissue. Below the ridge, the area of the inner surface, it is attached to the costal pleura and the endothoracic fascia. Next, posterior surface. You see, posterior surface is attached to the anterior surface of the transverse process of the corresponding thoracic vertebra, and a ligament attached here, which is called posterior costotransverse ligament. Now come to the tubercle. So this is the tubercle, elevation lateralwards beyond the neck, at the junction of the neck and the shaft of the rib. You see, this tubercle, it has got a articular part medially and a non-articular part laterally. The medial articular part consists of a facet which articulates with the facet present in the transverse process of the corresponding vertebra. Thereby, formation of a joint occurs here. The name of the joint is costotransverse joint, which is synovial joint. Now, the non-articular part of the tubercle and tip of the transverse process of the corresponding vertebra are attached to each other by a ligament. The name of the ligament is called lateral costotransverse ligament. So, this is about the vertebral end consisting of head, neck and the tubercle. Now, come to the shaft or body. You see, this one is the body which intervenes between the sternal end and the vertebral end. Body or shaft has got superior border, inferior border, inner surface and outer surface. You see, the superior border, it consists of an outer lip and an inner lip. The inferior border, it is sharp one. This one is the inferior border. You see, it is sharp one. If you trace it inwards, you will find a groove. The name of the groove is costal groove. Now, let us learn about the attachments at the shaft or body. You see, The outer lip, this is the outer lip of the upper border. It provides insertion for the muscle. The name of the muscle is external intercostalis. You see, this one is the inner lip of the upper border. Inner lip provides insertion for a muscle. The name of the muscle is internal intercostalis. You see the area after the inner lip. It provides insertion for another muscle. The name of the muscle is intercostalis intimus. So, the superior border from outside inwards provides insertion for external intercostalis, internal intercostalis and intercostalis intimus. This is the lower border. Lower border provides origin to the muscle external intercostalis. The costal group, it provides origin to a muscle. The name of the muscle is internal intercostalis. You see the area above the costal group. Actually, this margin above the costal group, it provides origin for intercostalis intimus muscle. So, in a typical intercostal space, we will find three muscles from outside inwards. They are external intercostalis, internal intercostalis and intercostalis intimus. Now, the outer surface of the cell. This is the outer surface of the cell. You appreciate that the outer surface is suddenly changing its direction, producing two angles, one posteriorly, posterior angle, and one anteriorly, the anterior angle. So, these are the two sides where sap abruptly, suddenly changes its direction. So, this is posterior angle and this is anterior angle. Posterior angle and the anterior angle, these angles are the weakest part of the rib, where there is chance of fracture. Now, so this one is the posterior angle. The area behind the posterior angle provides attachment for iliocostalis muscle and levator scapulae muscle. The posterior angle itself provides attachment for the posterior layer of lumbar fascia. Now, the anterior angle. In front of the anterior angle, there is origin of external oblique muscles for the lower 8 ribs. Behind the anterior angle, there is origin of serratus anterior muscle for the upper 8 ribs. Lowest 3 to 4 ribs provides attachment to the latissimus dorsi muscle. So, in summarization, typical rib which has got sternal end towards sternum, vertebral end towards vertebral, and this one is the sept intervening between these two. Sternal end, it articulates with the costal cartilage of its own, and the vertebral end from mediolaterally consists of head, neck and tubercle. Head articulates with vertebra or knee costovertebral joint, and tubercle, of course, the articular part with the tubercle present in the transverse process, costotransverse joint. You are required to know the muscle attachment, which is very important, to know the intercostal spaces in the body of the ribs. These muscles, which we will see during dissection of the intercostal space, and they are the external intercostalis, internal intercostalis, and the intercostalis intimus. Between internal intercostalis and intercostalis intimus, actually neurovascular plane lies. That's all.